Great to have you with us. I mean, this is such an important party congress as President Xi looks to secure this third time, but coming as we are seeing pessimism on the overall Chinese economy. Just tell us the significance of President Xi showing a very strong showing here to the global community.
Thank you. Thank you for this interview. And great. I think that China is all geared up for its 20th Party Congress, which is held every 5 years. And I think this time is 20th Party Congress is very important, is because it also highlighted the 10 years achievement of the President Xi take the position in 2012. So for the past 10 years, China's GDP almost doubled, and China's many front has really achieved a great progress. Like China has lifted 800 million people out of poverty, achieved the first centennial goal. And then this Congress, I think, will again symbolize the great unity and the great consolidation of the party, but also I think we have a much effective, clean and efficient government to be in place. And so we have a new core of leadership. We're probably going to have more new party secretary, new governors, and new ministers lined up. So this is really 5 years' time that really to rally the people and then really send a strong message, summarize what has achieved in the last 5 years, and set objective for the next 5 to 10 years. So this is really a moment that people in China has been looking for, and of course has been highly watched around the world. I think that gives us continuity, gives the stability, and gives the objective going forward. So this is really a great timing that China is now finally the Party Congress over long expected. Is happening now. Yeah.
Look, the whole global community, though, waiting to see when China is going to pivot away from its dynamic COVID zero approach. It doesn't seem like we will get that at the Party Congress, but how does President Xi try to strike a balance here between continuing down that path and economic growth?
Yes, I think China probably is the only country with such a large population, the most populous country in the world. So any government, I think, probably taking officials has to be extremely careful not to, let COVID out of control. But I think, of course, that has certainly had the impact of China's economy. I think the government is really strike a balance to maintain the COVID, but also stimulate the growth. But I think things are the pattern has been established and has developed a vast wide methodology and technology in terms of containing virus, tracing, testing, and quarantine sometimes. So I think it's gradually under control. Probably is the best managed COVID country in the world with only 3,000 casualties on deaths.
Henry?
on that. Yes.
Henry, is the COVID policy really based on the fact that the vaccines that China uses are no good?
I don't think so. I think that China has already injected this 3.5 billion doses of vaccine to its population. So I think now we're a bit tight, of course, that now as the Party Congress going on. But I think things probably could relax a bit, because we have seen Hong Kong has been relaxed. Hong Kong is part of China. If Hong Kong can be relaxed, I think probably if that is successful, no big casualties, China probably will follow later on. But also we see that Beijing has opened the Beijing International Marathon on November 6th, which has been stopped for the last 2 years. So we'll see we have a Chancellor Scholz of Germany coming to visit. We have President Xi going to G20 and APEC summit. So we expect some international travels, and the student already resumed to return. International flights has gone up, flights frequency.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic that things could change.
Yeah, it wasn't the question. I was asking whether these vaccines in China work. But let's move on. So will there be, in this speech, in your view, a doubling down, as it were, on things like Xi Jinping thought, if you will, so-called Xi Jinping thought, and also, of course, the whole theme of common prosperity?
Yeah, I think it certainly will summarize what President Xi's thought and his plan for the country. And of course, this is all CPC led by President Xi has really developed this this grand plan that already achieved the first centennial plan, which is lifted 800 million people out of poverty. Now they are, targeting the second centennial plan, which is by 2049, during the centennial of the People's Republic founded. They're going to reach the modernized society of China, and also all fronts they're going to try to be more advanced. So that objective is there, but also I think the China will also want to learn the lessons of other countries, the polarization, the gap between rich and poor. China wants to have a common prosperity, so that we don't avoid this kind of we can avoid this kind of mistakes or paths that other countries may gone through. There's a lot of deglobalization, a lot of a gap between rich and poor. So China is really be careful. But I think overall, China is going to stimulate the private sectors. I think the model they're having now, with 6% private sector, 20% SOE, and 20% multinational, it's quite unique, and that really supported China on high growth for many years. And I'm sure after pandemic is under control, it will be stimulated again in the high growth.
Henry, this is coming amidst some very big geopolitical concerns. We have the Taiwan issue, we have the war in Ukraine, and China's position with its relationship with Russia. How do you think President Xi is really trying to allay all of these concerns about where China stands on the world order?
Yeah, I think China is, as China has doubled its GDP in the last 10 years, and China has become the second largest economy and the biggest trading nation with 130 countries. China certainly would like to, more actively participate in the global domain. And China's position on Ukraine has China Foreign Minister Wang met Ukraine Foreign Minister in New York and basically said, look, we respect sovereignty, territorial integrity of Ukraine. We respect UN Charter principles. We want to have a balanced security. And of course, China wants to promote the peace and mediation. So that's really a great stand China has. I think that is continue, and China would like to see this war coming to the end, peacefully, and China actually going to suffer if this disruption continues and the world economy goes down, and China will be one of the big losers as well. So there's no interest for China to see this continue.